All right, welcome to the Keep Fit Simple podcast. Today I'm joined by Scott Norgate. He's a fitness business and marketing consultant, and I've been following him, and we've been chatting for a long time. So Scott, thank you very much for being here today, and looking forward exploring more about your story.
No, I appreciate it, mate. Thank you for having me on. It's actually my first podcast that I've done. So you're the first person to do this. So I appreciate it. I'm normally the one interviewing people. So it's slightly strange for me that I'm not really one else asking questions. But no, mate, take it away. I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I imagine it's gonna be good to be on the other side, just to experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely understand the excitement slash anxiety of getting an
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah. It feels slightly strange, but I like it. I can talk for England, so don't worry about it.
Awesome. So yeah, basically the podcast. So at the beginning, I wanted to call it "Keep It Simple," and to be
Sure
fair,
thing.
that was like something that I was talking to someone about, and he has a very good podcast that I follow. And I was telling him, look, you inspire me to actually take action because I've been wanting to do this podcast for years now because I've been listening to podcasts for years and I wanted to do it, but then it's one of those things that you keep procrastinating. And I was talking to him and he was like, okay, when are you gonna start and how are you gonna call it? And I was like, okay, yeah, I need to answer to this question now because I want to do it. And so one of the first things that came up was keep it simple because I believe that, and you as a consultant and as a coach yourself, there are things that we perceive as difficult,
Mm.
and that's why we don't do it. That's why we procrastinate. And well, that's our job, right? To make things simple for the people that work with us so that they can do it. And so that's when the name came up, keep it simple. And then
I like
I
it.
searched and there was loads of them. And so I wanted to go look, I was like, I need to differentiate myself. So I'm going to say keep fit simple because I didn't want to make it about
Mm.
fitness. But then it's Mascetti fitness. That's what I do. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's merge the things together.
And you can
Um,
change it as time goes on if you need to. So you don't have to be
oh yeah,
too tied down to it.
100%, 100%. So I know you used to be a fitness coach before being
Yeah.
a fitness business and a marketing consultant. So what's your story there? How did you start into
Yeah.
fitness? And then maybe later on we can go into the change.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know how far back you want to go, but basically, like any young boy, I guess anywhere in the world really that's into like football, soccer, I wanted to be a professional footballer when I was younger. Realized that wasn't going to be my reality. It wasn't good enough. And something that stuck with me was I always enjoyed fitness, always enjoyed sport. Then at the age of like 14, 15, started going to the school's gym. And then when I was old enough, got a gym membership. And I was like, this is something I feel like I could do. I was helping my friends out with some training, what they could do that was working for me. And then when it came to going to college, my first year I took a sports course. I realized that wasn't the case, but I couldn't change. Ended up taking a personal training course and sports massage therapy course for like 2 years. Loved it, got some great experience, and then qualified. After that, got my first job in a commercial gym here in the UK. It was one called Everyone Active, and yeah, spent like 2 years working there. Cleaning the machines, taking the inductions, doing the circuit classes, doing like the 30-minute or like hour sessions. Trying to build up the name in the gym, and it was great, and I loved it, and I built the experience, and it was great. And then once I gained that experience, I realized, I can do this. I feel like I had like I'm not one of those, I'd say, like natural entrepreneurs where it's like great from like 6 years old I was doing something, whatever. It just naturally kind of flowed, and I was like, oh well, I feel like I've got the skills, let me do something myself. And then you've probably seen with some of the images and things, I end up creating my own one-to-one fitness coaching business, end up paying rent in a local gym near me, built up our clients to, I think I was doing about 25 30 hours a week, which was good. And then did my own circuit classes as well, hired out the local hall in town, ran my circuit classes there, did 2 a week, and then did some online coaching as well. Had anywhere from about only like 8 to 10 clients. We never kind of really scaled it. But during that time, I say to a lot of people as well, because they don't realize, like my hobby that I really enjoyed was filming content. So during that process from the age of like 17 to well, even now, but I had one channel where I was just posting YouTube videos, documenting my entire journey. So just days in the life when I was at college. And it's great because I refer back to these sometimes now in my content. But like I didn't really know what that was. But I realized I had a love for storytelling, marketing. So throughout building my fitness business, I was helping other fitness coaching friends. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with that. And I know you mentioned about going into the kind of transition point, but yeah, that's how I got into starting my personal training business, and did that for about 3.5 years before eventually transitioning into not even what I do now, but something just before that.
Wow. So, well, I didn't know the full story, so thank you
Yeah,
for
no, I was
that.
gonna say maybe a bit of a long-winded one, but give
No,
you the
no,
full
no.
context.
And what came up for me is that I don't. How old are you?
So I'm 24. I turned 25 in like 3 months. Ugh.
Man, you're so young still, like I'm at that age, like when you get over 30, you see everyone in their 20s
Yeah.
as much younger than you,
Yeah.
really, but
It's just a societal thing, though, isn't it? Like just with
yeah,
social media, you think, oh, I got to do this by a certain age, but now we're all good.
totally, totally. But regardless, like it seems like you achieved a lot already. Like the how many hours you did as a PT. Like I've been a personal trainer as well, so I know that's when you like 25, 30, 35 hours per week as a PT. Well, first of all, it's a big achievement, and second, it's hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult to try and maintain that. It's not easy.
Early mornings, late
Late
evenings.
nights as well.
Yeah,
Clients, you drive specifically to the gym just to train one or two clients, and they let you know last minute, hey, sorry, can't make it.
the
You're still
6 a.m.
charging. You drove there, which is annoying.
the famous 6 a.m. client.
Ugh, I hate it, but it,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
At one point I stopped doing 6 a.m. because
Mm.
I was like, look, first of all, I was having this conversation with the client. I said, look, there's no point for us to have this session because when you do make it to the 6 a.m., it's because you just slept 4 hours and that's not good.
Yeah, you
So
can't have a good session anyway.
that's it. So I'd rather have you sleep and, and not canceling half of the sessions
100%.
and losing the money.
And you organize your time, right? You're not feeling like you're a slave to your clients. They kind of start working around you, which is nice,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is good.
So yeah, man, I mean, 24 years old and, you've been, you've done the personal training, then, you open your own studio.
Yeah, so I was like renting a hall, yeah. So it wasn't like
Okay.
my hall or whatever, but I was paying rent to a hall, and yeah, we'd
Okay.
have like anywhere from 10 members a week. We charge maybe like 10 pounds or so per person, roughly. So yeah, did all right.
Nice. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you've been up to a lot.
I, I've tried a load of stuff, which I think is really important.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, because
Um,
I think one of the things that I struggled with growing up was I was never the smartest person at school, right? Like I only found out maybe I think it was earlier this year. I think it was. Yeah, that I had ADHD, and from being at school, like I struggled to focus. I used to fall asleep in my lessons because I just was not interested, and I only kind of excelled in areas that I really enjoyed. That being art, that being sports. Quite a creative person. So I always knew that I wasn't someone where things came to me like naturally. I had to work really, really hard to understand that. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew from a kid, like I said, I wanted to be a professional footballer. When I realized it wasn't a reality, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in the real world. Like, what do I want to do? Found out, love sport, like I said, came into personal training. And I realized, okay, I heard Stephen Bartlett say this. There's something about being like a serial quitter or something like that, but in a good sense of like if something doesn't feel right to me anymore, or I'm not enjoying it anymore, is just cutting ties and finding the next thing. And for me, I also looked at it as a game. Finding out that I had ADHD, for me, it's like, I need dopamine hits. But things that relate to the fact of like my work and things that I enjoy. So I looked at that. I was like, okay, well, I want to get really good in regards to business and marketing. So what I looked at the fact of I just gamified everything. So for me, it was like, and Alex Hormozy broke this down to me too, where you're just skill stacking. So all right, I want to learn business and I want to sell a service. Like what am I lacking in? Well, I'm not the best at sales on the phone right now. I'm not the best at guiding a conversation in the DMs. I don't really know how to structure a call. Structure a call or structure my content, everything like that. And I just realized those were the next few things that I had to learn and I had to do. But I just realized, well, if in order for me to find out what I want to do, I just need to taste a load of things. Instead of having a time frame on something where, all right, I'm going to do this for say 4 months and I have to learn X, Y, and Z. I don't learn the best like that. I do like pressure, but for me, it's like, all right, well, I realize I want to learn this skill, and until I feel like I've perfected it, then I'll go on to the next one. If that takes me 4 months, fine. If that takes me 6, so be it. So I just went through doing that with a ton of different things. And instead of like we mentioned before, where like society puts pressure on you to hit a certain number in your bank account by a certain age, I was like, well, let me just learn the skills. Because once I learn the skills and I get really good at that, the money will soon follow. So yeah, those are some of the things that helped me with eventually getting to some of the places I am now.
Nice. So you mentioned that you were not the smartest at school, and
Definitely not.
that's like, well, but that's funny because what does that even mean, right? Because
Exactly.
the school system is it's silly. Like
Yeah.
it's about memorizing
Learn
stuff,
some information. Yeah, memorize something to eventually take a test to give you a grade that you think defines the rest of your life and the jobs and stuff that you can have, which isn't
right?
true. 100%.
And exactly, you said, yeah, I wasn't the smartest at school. Then school finishes,
Mhm.
and you're actually crushing it.
Yeah, and the thing is, even I even have to correct myself on the things that I say. You mentioned right there saying like, "Oh, I wasn't the smartest at school." Is like understanding the words that come out my mouth and conditioning my identity. Right? Is if I keep saying, oh, "I'm not the smartest person," I'm not the smartest person. I soon believe that, and every time I go into something, whether that be business, I'm having the mindset of, I'm still that person at school that people made fun of, that said wasn't going to achieve anything, and that's something that held me back a lot. Like, and again, I'm even saying it now. I have the tendency to still, not I am, but like I still have the tendency occasionally to doubt myself because back at school, one of the things, and this is another thing that led me into being a personal trainer. Really, I didn't touch on it. Was back at school for the 4 or 5 years I was at secondary school or high school for was every time we were in my friendship group, all my friends every time I'd go to speak would turn around and say to me at once, which was crazy, but it'd be like, "Shut up, Scott," and would laugh if I'd say something, even if I just wanted to include myself in a conversation. What I didn't realize till I got older was that reinforced to me that my voice, what I had to say, wasn't important. People didn't want to listen to me. So then that need for feeling validated like we are as humans, I realized, well, where's my interests? What do I want to do? But where can I get that validation most? Well, nothing beats that than taking a circuit class where 10, 20, 30 people in a hall are listening to you and listening to what you have to say. So that really led me to where I am now. But yeah, just to cover that point too, is I was, I think I was running from a lot of things, not necessarily running to.
And I think that's I imagine that's normal. Um, our I don't know if you know Vince Del Monte, but
Yes, yeah.
he always says your mess becomes your message.
Hmm.
And what that means for me is, like, for example, as well, I always like sports, but I think for me, when really, the penny dropped is I wanted to find a way to get out of getting bullied.
Mm.
And so whether it was, building muscle and get stronger, or, like learning boxing and martial arts, which obviously, they became a passion of mine and something that I've been helping people with. But it all started from the fact that I was getting bullied, and I didn't want to, to get my ass kicked. And actually, well, I probably wanted to protect myself from the bullies, right?
100%.
Which at the time were
100%.
mostly verbally, but I imagine I wanted to, and even the more I think about it, like even the tattoos, right? Like this building this, yeah, it's about building this, like a tough guy identity, which
100%.
probably stems from not probably, very likely they stem from that, but at the same time, that's it's a
100%.
good
But also
identity
it's
that I can
building a
embrace.
100% building it's building a new identity for yourself, right? Is you know like you've done speaking with you, like are you still living in Dubai?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you move to a new town where no one knows you. So it's like, well, now you can create that new identity for yourself, not with confines of like the town you grew up in or the people that you thought bullied you. And I was the same. I was like, I need to, I want to recreate myself, but not in the eyes what other people think. And again, similar to what someone Alex Hormozy said is you don't need to get revenge on the people that you said bullied you, right? Like the best revenge that you can get is becoming the best version of yourself that, whether they want to or they don't, but these people that used to bully you look at what you're doing now. And it's like, wow, Matteo's doing really well for himself. And that doesn't matter about money or status or anything like that. But it's like you became, for me, I look at it as like you reach the full potential that you have, right? In whatever area that is, you're a high performer, you have high aspirations. And I think that's really important. But it takes a lot of like inner work in order to do that. And it looks like you've also come pretty far, mate. So you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. I've actually, yeah. So okay, I wanted to ask you a question, but before we get
Yeah,
into
for sure.
that,
Yeah.
I want to touch upon because you mentioned the ADHD,
Yes.
and so the more I hear and see this thing, the more I understand it's actually a superpower, right?
Yeah.
Like people believes like, oh, I have the ADHD, and it's like almost to justify themselves from, I don't know, from something that they lack,
Yeah.
right?
Procrastinating,
Yeah.
not getting work done, you know,
But then
100%.
I can see there's actually a superpower. So how did you discover that you had it, and what changed in you when
Yeah,
you saw that?
100%. I remember it's because I was one of my old mentors I had. I was on like a group coaching call, and someone just turned around to me and was like, "Scott, do you have ADHD?" I was like, "What? No. What are you talking about?" They're like, you have so much energy, but at the same time, like you're very like sporadic. Like you've just said something, and you mentioned like five different things, and you're always like kind of switching back and forth from different things. I was like, okay, just me. But it really stuck with me for about 2 weeks. Like it kept playing on my mind. I was like, huh. So I started researching ADHD, kind of going down that rabbit hole. And I'm not one of those people that like, even if I get say diagnosed with something, that it affects my life. I'm just like, cool. It's not gonna restrain me. It's just like, okay, well, how maybe can I learn better? Because for me, that's what I always struggled with. Where with like having ADHD and things, like I get quite overwhelmed with even like the basic of tasks sometimes. Where it's like right now, I'm currently building out our consulting program that we're going to be really pushing for the new year and things. And sometimes I look at it as like it's a huge mountain to climb, and I find myself not necessarily procrastinating, but it's that overwhelm of having quite a few tasks I need to do, and I struggle with that. But also, even when I've sat there and I've got better at focusing, but it's not even scrolling on my phone. It's like getting lost in my thoughts sometimes where I'm doing work, then all of a sudden, like I'll think back to, oh, I need to do that today as well, or oh, I need to do that, or I need to go send that message. It's like sit still, do this. I fidget a lot, but basically what I've done was, I can send it to you if needs be. But I went to a website, I can't remember the name, and you kind of just do like these couple of tests. I think it was like 20 tests or something, and it kind of gives you a basic range, like if you have it, if you don't. And then it gives you like a number and stuff to go call up a professional, and you can sit down, you can spoke with them, did a couple more tests, and yeah, after doing that, I was like, look, you do have it, and you can go on medication. This can help. I'm the type of person I don't really like. I don't want to use medication. I don't do that. I want to do it in a sense of just finding whether that be herbal remedies or for myself, just find like just understanding more of myself. And the simplest thing that I found that does help me is when I come to do deep work to get content or content filmed or work in the business done, I turn my phone off, put it in a different room, and I just use a timer. So like studies show, in order for like deep work, you can to get like the best work done is like you can do like 90 minutes. Then after that, performance starts dropping a little bit. So I kind of set mine anywhere from like 45 minutes to 60 minutes, doing like the Pomodoro technique, if you've heard of it. And I'll just do like 4 or 5 rounds of that throughout the day. And I know for me, my best moments of focusing, I start work anywhere around like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll do that for about 4 hours. Then I'll go and do work. I'll get on calls like we're on a podcast right now. After this, I'll be going to the gym. And then in the evening, when it comes to about like 5 till 8, I'm alert again. Like it's strange, but like I can do some deep work and focus. So I realized what worked best for me, and just understanding, like with being ADHD, like my moods can be really high, but also really low. Like I could be great, I'm going to do this. This is awesome. This is amazing. But then something might go wrong, and it doesn't like necessarily ruin my day, but I'll sit there and I'll think about it and I'll ponder it a lot and go, oh, maybe I could change this, or that didn't work. So when I spoke with professionals, for me, it was just, I didn't really care about everything else. I just wanted to know, how can I learn better? Because for me, my main focus was business, being a better leader. And I just wanted to know, how can I get more work done? Because I noticed what people were getting done in like a couple of days. And I hate to say this, but it would take me like 2 weeks. But I'm like, the work is so simple and easy to do. Why is it taking me so long? And once I broke down some other internal things where I was scared of failing or not being good enough, but then understanding like I was just getting distracted and didn't have a good routine in place, it really helped me a lot.
It's thank you for sharing that, and it's really
No,
interesting.
it's all good, mate.
And I think I need to do those tests because I can resonate a lot in the stuff that you said.
Yeah, I can send it over, mate. Yeah, you can speak to some professionals, and they can guide you in the right direction. I don't know necessarily what they might suggest with yourself, but I sat down, spoke with some, and they kind of guided me on what I could do, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I can resonate with the story a lot.
What are some of the things for you? Like, what have you noticed?
I mean, I can think about like things to do a lot, but then they don't necessarily get done.
Yeah,
I have lots of ideas, but not much implementation.
Does it get overwhelming as well sometimes? Like, do you feel, overwhelmed? Or like, oh, there's so much to do that it's not necessarily procrastination, but it's like I don't really know where to start.
Absolutely, yeah, almost daily.
Yeah. Do you find you're quite an impulsive person? That's like the explanation of most of my tattoos. Like, it's majority of them. I'm quite impulsive with some of my actions, and I've had to train myself over time. But is like impulsiveness something that relates to you?
Yeah.
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 That's a good one. That's what I noticed for myself. It'd be like, think about it. Like I was like, I want a tattoo. Went and sat in the studio for a little bit, and we met. Like I don't know if you can see it on the camera. There's one on the back of my neck.
Oh yeah.
We just sat there, found some random stuff online. I was like, that looks pretty cool. Let's do it. So impulsiveness is a big one of mine that I need to try.
Yeah, no, I have a different process around the tattoos.
What's yours?
So, okay, with the tattoos, I'm not impulsive. So if I have an idea on the tattoo, if the idea stuck with me for more than a year, then I get it done. Because I'll be full otherwise.
I was gonna say I might need to take your ideas on that, your approach. Mine's not. No.
But it's not the same in other. It's fortunately, unfortunately, it's not the same in other areas.
100%. But no, like I said, I can send over some stuff to you, and you can take a look. And hopefully, they could help out as well, which would be pretty cool.
You see, you never know. You never know what you're gonna discover on a podcast on a Monday Monday evening.
On a Monday evening for sure, mate.
I have ADHD. Maybe I have ADHD.
It's just understanding a lot. Another thing too, and I did this recently actually, is like doing a 16 personalities test. I recently done it, and I found out I was a protagonist. So it just helps you understand a bit more about why you do the things that you do, how you may learn or how you do certain things, why you show up in certain areas. It's also understanding maybe where you're at in your life right now. Like let's say you're building a business, you might find that you're some of the answers you give to your questions relate more to that, and you might be I can't remember, like a creator. Is it a creator or like a mentor? I can't remember one of the other personalities, but depending on where you're at right now, it may sway you. So you can
Mm.
come back to doing that maybe in a couple of months. But I did that recently too, and it made me realize a lot in regards to how I acted in relationships or the careers that I choose. That'd be another one to help you out as well.
Yeah, I've looked in the past into the personality test. They're interesting stuff. Interesting
They are
stuff.
good. It's fascinating, and I do
Yeah.
like them a lot.
I'm gonna send you. I don't remember the name. I'm gonna send you one that was really good, and if you never done it, then that will be, hopefully
100%.
good for
Yeah, I
you.
remember buying one of Jordan Peterson's and doing another one recently. So they were both quite good. But yeah, send them over,
Awesome.
mate. I'm all good. I want
Yeah,
to learn more about myself. So all about that self discovery, which is great.
love it. So yeah, okay. Let's say the main reason why I wanted to talk to you on this podcast is because I knew your story that you started as a personal trainer, then online coach, and then you pivot into being working with fitness coaches on their business. I know in the past you did content, and now you're doing more marketing. So you mentioned that you started with a YouTube channel, and you discovered that you like to do content. But tell me more about how that change happened, and actually the changes, because I you went from
Yeah,
the
for sure.
content and then now
So
the marketing.
yeah, I'll let you know from all of it really, because it was a longer process than people thought. So when it came to the end of me doing my personal training, so I did that for about 3.5 years, and we built that up quite well. It did all right, and I could have scaled it more, but for me, like I didn't enjoy it as much, and I'm the type of person that's like passion and mission driven. So if I'm not really interested, like I need to pivot, I need to switch. So like I said, during that time, I have an old YouTube channel that's close to like 1,000 subscribers or whatever, but I've got like 350 videos ranging from like 7 years, and like I'd post maybe minimum once a week, sometimes even three. And that helped me develop the skill of confidence in front of a camera, storytelling, and just building up my confidence, right? Because I'll be holding the camera in front of people in a town, in a city, everyone's looking at me. So that helped a lot. But from doing that, I had some friends reach out and be like, hey, can you help? So I did. But during this time as well, because it wasn't like a smooth transition into building a content agency. So what I actually done was when I closed down my fitness coaching business, I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Like I would wake up and be like, I don't want to work with my clients. It's nothing against them. I just really wasn't enjoying it. And I think sometimes people want to look at like, oh yeah, went from this business, did this, and I went from building my business to working with a couple of people one to one within the content space. And I was learning what a content marketing agency was when it first kind of came on the scene. And I didn't really know. But at the time where I shut everything down, I wasn't making money from my coaching businesses anymore because I didn't enjoy it. So I actually went into doing construction. So I was doing building work and working on a construction site whilst I was growing my content agency. So I was working with a mentor and I was learning. So I'd spend all day working on a crappy business building site, whilst then in the evenings I was working on building a content agency. Also during this time, which you may have heard this part of the story as well, but I was also trying to build theme pages. I wanted to try and figure out how could I create viral content or how could I get better at creating content, because at the time I wasn't really. Oh, sorry, mate, your camera's gone. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, awesome, mate. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you on your end. I
Noise.
couldn't see your face, mate. My bad. And yeah, during this time, I was building like theme pages on TikTok, like kind of motivational ones or just like some viral theme pages. And they started doing really, really well. So I was getting millions of views on that. Um, Started growing that page. And during this time as well, because I told you before, I was trying loads of different things. So I saw a trend going around on YouTube, which was about selling mystery boxes, people opening up mystery boxes. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it'd be like, £1,000 mystery boxes or £5,000 mystery boxes where they'd open up and see Supreme stuff. So for me, I was like, well, I don't really care about it being that much. I just want to try and do it to make some extra money on the side as I grow my content agency. So what I used to do was I used to go to my local pound shop in town, and at the front of the shop, they'd have their own cardboard boxes. I was like, well, to save money on cardboard boxes, I'm just going to use theirs. And I'd go to the back of the shop, and I'd be like, all right, it's going to be like I'd have a 10 item mystery box, 20 item. I think we did 30, or is it 40? It was one of the two. So went to the back, got electrical items, and on like, I think at the time it was Photoshop, but I can send them to you. But I'd create these basically cover images that I'd sell on eBay. Problem is with eBay is you have to tell them like the thing that you're listing. I managed to find ways around that so I could still list them. Occasionally it'd get banned, but I'd be able to list them. And then it was just trying to find the right price point for them to sell. So I tried selling it quite high, around maybe 97, didn't get as many sales. And I've put a price point of like £47 or £49, and I was selling loads. I was selling like maybe nine a week or so. Sometimes it dropped off, and I probably make around maybe £30 profit on each one. So I got to a point where I was doing about 800 to $1,000 a month just in selling these mystery boxes. So when these started popping off and doing really well, and the TikTok was growing, I was like, wow, I might have something here. And this was back when I was like 20, 21. And my uncle was living in Mexico with his partner. And I reached out to him and was like, hey, mate, what are you doing at the moment? And during this time, I got a sale on Etsy. So just to backtrack quickly, sorry. People were reaching out to me on my Instagram saying, hey, Scott, I see you're doing this for mystery boxes. Could you show me? I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. And I guess you look at it now as like kind of the early stages of coaching people, which is kind of strange. But I was like, yeah, I just do this. I wasn't charging anyone. I was like, hey, I do this. And someone put it on Etsy and they charged more and sold it. And me was like, all right, well, if you're doing that, I could definitely do the same. So I created an Etsy store and I put one up for, I think it was like 50 items and put it up for £300, thinking no one's going to buy it, but I just want to see. Literally 2 days later, someone bought it. But the payment didn't go through, which I found strange. So I went to go and look at the email to send them an email if they still wanted to go through with the purchase. And the email said the person's name at MrBeastYouTube.com. So I saw that and was like, wait, what the? No way. And I said, hey, look, mate, I don't know why this didn't go through on Etsy, but could you just, is this something you still want? And I can do the transaction here. I can send you like a Stripe payment link and we can move everything across. He's like, yeah, mate, that's great. We can make that payment. It's for our production company. Like we basically make videos on YouTube. And I'm like, this is for Mr. Beast and for one of his videos. And if you scroll through his page, you'll see that there's a video about him doing mystery boxes. So he obviously bought a load to see good ones, and then he'd put that in the video. This is where I then called up my uncle and was like, hey, mate, well, I kind of got like a mystery box business, which is not scalable whatsoever and was really bad. But at the time, I was like, hey, check this out. I've got a TikTok account that is growing, so maybe we could turn it into something. And we have a marketing opportunity to promote the business because Mr. Beast is going to be putting it in a video. And he was like, mate, amazing. Can you get to Mexico in a week? Do you want to move in with me? And I'm like, what the hell? And actually at this time, I'd left construction. I was actually working in a factory. I'd worked there for 3 weeks. My sister was working there. She was like, hey, you can get a job in here for the meantime. Because I got fed up with the construction. And like I said to you before, I'm not enjoying something. I always try and pivot to try and make my situation better. Because when I was doing construction, I'd come home, I'd be really, really tired. And I struggled sometimes to focus on business. Whereas when I worked in a factory, wasn't as like physically demanding. I had more energy for the business. But anyway, I left that after 3 weeks and was like, screw it, I'm going to go all in and try and figure this out. So ended up moving to Mexico City at the age of, I think it was like 21. Moved in with my uncle and we tried to make something of this over like a 4-month period. And it got to a point where I kind of acknowledged the fact, hey, there is no such thing as creating a profitable mystery box business. This is just not going to work. And I realized I didn't want that to be how I make my money. And the reason why I reached out to my uncle was he was someone who had built his own businesses. He was a contractor, so he'd worked with Apple, he built apps, and he was very, very well versed on that and had made like hundreds of thousands a year. So I was like, okay, this is a great guy to go to. But it got to a point where we slowly started to transition that business into being a business that educated people about how to make money. Well, at the time, I was someone who hadn't necessarily made loads of money online. I had like kind of brick and mortar, if you want to call it that, or like, in doing circuit classes and stuff like that. Like I did okay, but like not really online as such. I hadn't scaled my stuff. So I'm still kind of doing a little bit of the consulting, the content stuff on the side, but not as much because I'm doing all this. So it got to a point where I didn't agree with where the business was going. And I was like, well, I have no job. I have some skills and some people that want to work with me, but I'm not charging them a lot. And I now have the decision where I decided to come back home with the embarrassment of having to move back in with my mum. That I was like, well, this isn't working. But it filled me with a load of confidence that I was like, wow, I made a decision to move to the other side of the world. I can do this. Before I moved back in with my mum, because I was too embarrassed, I ended up moving in with my sister. And she gave me the ultimatum, like, look, if you can't start paying rent in 2 weeks, you're going to have to move back in with my mum. And I managed to get a couple of clients where I was doing the consulting, but it just didn't make sense with just her living arrangement. So I ended up moving back with my mum. And that was a bit of a longer story. But like I said, it wasn't like a smooth sailing process. Then it got to a point where I was like, great, well, I went through this situation with my uncle. And the crazy thing is, I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but it's been like 3.5 years, and I still haven't spoke to him. So that was been a crazy experience. So maybe we'll connect. But yeah, it was a good learning experience, but yeah, was difficult. But I use that now as like the fuel to be like, all right, let me create something that I'm passionate about, I love, and can really inspire people and help them with their businesses. For me, it's always going to be fitness. Fitness and like self-development is something that just comes very naturally to me. I love it. It doesn't feel effortless. It doesn't feel like I'm putting, I'm working, if you want to call it that. It's effortless to me. So
Yeah.
I sat down, I went back through like old fitness contacts of friends that I had and was like, hey mate, what are you doing with your content? I had no clue what I was doing. I was kind of going through everything, and yeah, this is when I started investing in a mentor, understanding more about content, marketing, creating a content agency, and went down that route there. And then it was kind of history from there. About 18 months, we just worked with coaches. I had for about the first 8 months, had no clue what I was doing, just learning on the job, basically building up my confidence, learning sales, learning into different skills. And yeah, I wouldn't change it at all, because it led me to the point now where, we were helping fitness coaches with all their marketing, their content, how to script content better, how to create a personal brand, how to create, assets so that you have a theme to your business, right? So you see people like Nike and Gymshark. It's like, how can you create, that brand that people recognize yourself, your business? We did that. We got people some really good results. People were loving the service. We were saving them tons of time in their business. We would edit all the content ourselves. We had editors, a load of team members, and it's great. And we still have it on the side right now, which is awesome. But to the question that you were asking as well, which is like pivoting to what I'm doing now, is it wasn't something that I was looking at doing, right? Like because part of it's like, I'm a fitness business and marketing consultant, where basically now we help personal trainers on the gym floor create a online fitness coaching business where we help them make their first 5K a month online. That was never something that I was planning on doing, right? It was just, I knew my skills of marketing and content, but as I was working with a new mentor and we were learning things around paid ads and systems, I was like, okay. Just with my inquisitiveness and wanting to learn more about the fitness coaching space, I naturally, through just asking questions and working with my clients, well, what's like your onboarding process? What do you use? And he showed me. And I was like, great, cool. Or then they would connect me with people in the space that would help build systems. So I was like, great, cool, I can learn that. That'd be great. Because I also wanted to use it selfishly for my stuff, right? Like, how can I make my business a little bit better? But through that, I learned more about fitness coaches' businesses. I learned more about the struggles that they had, what they needed help with. And because we were editing content, we could help kind of streamline their processes. Like, they'd be like, hey, I've got this onboarding process. I've got all my videos. I was like, great, we could help make them even better for you. Like, we could edit them, be professional. But during that process, I learned, what does that onboarding process look like? And again, it's not necessarily too hard. You can't just ask the right questions. You can learn a load of things. And then I realized, I'm like, cool. When I started learning ads for my business, because I was going to be doing this for my agency, but I found out I had like a cold DM strategy was working quite well. And I was like, I'm happy with everything. I don't necessarily want to include the ads in this. And then someone reached out to me and was like, oh mate, do you like do coaching to help like grow fitness coaching businesses? I was like, nope, that's not what I do. And I wouldn't be coaching because I didn't build like a six-figure coaching business with my fitness coaching business, right? So I can't coach on that because it's not something that I've done. But when I started learning more about ads, it was just trial and error. So a client would come to us that we were already working with in regards to the content agency. And he's like, hey mate, I saw that you had been like testing some things with ads and you were learning stuff. Like, I'm happy if you wanted to try it with me. I'm like, all right, mate, like you don't have to pay me at all. I'll do it for free. But like you have to invest this amount. He's like, mate, I trust you. You've done a great work for me. I want to try it. So this is Joshua. He might have seen on my stories. And we set everything up for him in regards to ads, and he got great results within the first 5 weeks. He gained, I think it was like 1,000 followers. He put like 20 sales calls and made like £5,500. And within the fitness coaching industry, that's really good. And I was like, oh, damn, we might have something here. Then we helped another client who was part of our content agency. His name's Rob. And when we first started working with him, I think he had about 39,000 followers. And then we started implementing ads as well. Again, this wasn't necessarily part of the content service. I was like, hey, mate, I'm testing this out. We got results for Joshua. Would you like us to help you? He's like, great, mate, amazing. Now it's been about 8.5 months. He's now, I think, like 75,000 followers. And it's gained, I think, yeah, almost double, which is crazy. And for me, it's like, it wasn't something that I was pushing until people started seeing those results. So, hey, mate, can you do this for me? And I'm going, oh, now there's a demand here. So naturally, it was a natural progression. I was happy with the content agency and what we were doing and growing that. But I also saw the market where, everyone's doing content marketing agencies with all AI and everything that's coming out. I was like, okay, I still need to pivot, but like, how can I do it where, I'm taking advantage of the education space, right? Because the education industry is only going to grow to be like trillions of dollars in the upcoming years. I was like, well, that's not going anywhere. So it's not like a scarcity mindset. I was just like, the demand is there, but I was like, I can be unique because my story and my approach on how I've got to where I am is completely different, right? I'm not this fitness business guru coach that you see where they built their own six-figure business with fitness. But what I've had to do is I've had to work with coaches very closely one-to-one to learn the systems. And once you've learned the systems and you take the time and you find the right people, it's not too difficult. I then just work for free. And this is a big thing too, right? Even if there's fitness coaches watching this, if you want to know more of my story, like, yeah, working on the gym floor, right? Build your hours up there. Great. Then hire a mentor, learn the things that you need to, and then work for free. Even if that's for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You need testimonials because where I was a consultant, I couldn't speak about the results that I got myself because I hadn't got to 6 figures a year with my fitness coaching business. But we had helped fitness coaches with building theirs. So that's what I could speak about. But in order to get that, I had to work for free. So I know that was a very long-winded answer for you, mate, but like that's how I pivoted. And it was just so natural and seamless. And I know you mentioned before we got on here, right? Like you were thinking of there's something that you want to change and how did I go about it? And I feel like, and you can explain as well, but you're just at a natural crossroads in your life. And yeah, it's just kind of figuring out like how do you go about it and what do you need to do for that next step. So I hope that kind of helps.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots in there. With all your businesses and how you started with the TikTok and the mystery boxes.
Like I said, mate, I can speak for a long period of time. So
yeah, good. But one thing that stood out for me is, and obviously you were, and you are obviously like young. And sorry if I pound on that, but obviously it makes sense.
It's all good, man. I appreciate it.
But you left your fitness business to go work in a constructions because you didn't enjoy your fitness business. Why did you do that? Like, what was the reason?
For me, I just didn't enjoy it anymore. We were doing about 4.5 grand a month, maybe a couple of months where we did 5. But for me, it was just like, I'm not money driven, right? Like I know a lot of business owners or whatever, like, yeah, we want to hit these targets. For me, like, I need to enjoy what I do. I know a lot of people out there, and you've probably heard it, like, no, I'm just going to build something because based around the money and whatever. Luckily, I'm in a space where, it's a growing industry, right? It's not declining like like newspapers and stuff are. Like it's a growing business, so I'm always going to make good money. But for me, I'm quite happy to work 10, 12 hours in a day. Obviously, growing my business, I don't necessarily feel like I have to do that. It's more I want to. And I'm at a young age where I want to take advantage of that and reach my full potential. But I just realized I'm not enjoying this, right? I don't enjoy working with my clients. I just love making videos. Like that's what I enjoyed doing. If anything, I enjoyed marketing my business, not the service delivery side. And I was like, this isn't fair on my clients because me as a coach, I'm slacking. Like I have these standards, but I'm now not hitting them, and I don't think that's fair. So I know there's some people where like they might listen to this and it's like, oh, was he not making good money or whatever, and he's left. For me, it's like no, like I'm very open and honest with numbers. I just got to a point where I was like, I can continue this. I was doing quite well within my local area. I was like, I don't enjoy it. And for me, like, I think, yeah, I heard Alex Hormozy say this, and I was like, he said something about along the lines of like, it was part of the story that he was going to tell, when you make it. And for me, it was like, I'm not making these changes because I want to try and create some hardcore story, right? But I was just like, I'm just not enjoying it. I don't like what I'm doing. And I think I was at a bit of an identity crisis really, because fitness was the only thing that like I I identified myself as. Everyone always knew me as the fitness coach or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And then I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Like I only felt like I coach people. I was like, do I even have any other skills? So I wanted to kind of put that to the test. And by getting a construction job, it kind of took the pressure off me because where I was posting stuff on social media, I felt like I had to be this certain person. I actually felt like it was having a negative effect on me. I felt like I was getting a little bit burnt out. And that was only because I just didn't really know what direction I was going in. I was posting things for the sake of it. And I was just like, look, I'm only going to make myself look like an idiot if I continue going down this road. I think it's better if I just take a bit of a break and kind of figure out my next steps. Like I've proven to myself I can do it if I want to, but I'm not enjoying this now. And if that means I've got to go and get a construction job where people are going to be like, oh, this guy's a failure, or oh, he quit and he's not made it work. I'm like, if that's what people want to think about me, I know the type of person I am. I can make something come of it when the time's right. And that's when I decided to leave. And when I went into the construction, I obviously knew some of the content stuff I was doing, but I was like, I don't know what this is going to be. And I was scared. I was worried. I was like, working in building sites where I've got dirt in places it shouldn't be, and it's freezing cold, and it's snowing, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? I'm contemplating like, do I just go back to it because it's easier? But I'm like, I just don't really feel like that's who I am. I don't want to do something necessarily because it's easier. I'm like, I believe in myself. Eventually, I'll make something work, and we'll see. Luckily, it's paid off. But yeah, I just was not enjoying it.
Okay, yeah. And the thing that stood out, and the reason why I asked this question is because you went from doing something that you didn't enjoy doing, the fitness coaching, to another thing that it doesn't necessarily, it's not that you went to do something you didn't enjoy to something you enjoyed. You went from doing something you didn't enjoy to something that you didn't enjoy. But what I'm hearing and what I think and what I imagine happened is you needed a break from your old identity and a challenge. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so, mate. Like I mentioned, I was going felt like a bit of an identity crisis. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in my life anymore, and I felt lost. And if you look at a lot of the big business owners out there, or just people that do something with their life, right? Like they're always changing, they're always pivoting, and I think that's important sometimes. Like I know people where they've gone to uni, they've got a degree in something, but they don't enjoy what they do anymore. But because they've got the degree in what they've done, they feel, oh, I'm a failure if I don't do this anymore. It's like, well, no, like that's just a chapter of your life where you went to uni, you studied to do whatever, you did it for a little bit, and you realize this isn't what I want to do. I think it's really important that you actually give yourself the time to start fresh. And yeah, create those new identities for yourself.
That's a huge lesson there. That obviously, we can call it courage, right? Having the courage to make these choices, and I imagine you get this a lot. when we talk to people, there's a lot of people that are like, you're some people say, you're so lucky that you do the job that you love, or you're so lucky that okay, they don't say lucky all the time. They might say something like, it's so good that you do that. And then I'm like, yeah, but what's stopping you? And and those things came out like, yeah, but I've studied for this, and then I have this job, like I'm making okay money, so it doesn't make sense for me to leave. And so it's stories like yours can be a source of inspiration, because I believe that the world would be a better place if we could all do what we really want to. And no, it's not necessarily like wanting to. It's not like a caprice. It's not like, oh, like I want ice cream. It's more
Yeah.
like you're actually following your purpose.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's sometimes, right, where the thing that you love to do doesn't make you money to pay bills, right? Like there's that. But it's coming to terms and understanding that. Maybe you're someone that enjoys and things. You can make it like an Etsy store and sell stuff online. I got a friend. She loves like Broadway, the West End shows, and she has a Etsy store around handmade Broadway. It's called Handmade Broadway, where she'll make like items where she make books, items of clothing and things, sell it on an Etsy store, and that's a passion and love that she has, and she can actually make good money from it. So, that might be something that you can do. Or if that's not the case, or you don't want it to be the main source of your income, then it's like, admit that to yourself. Maybe you do something on the side, like an Etsy store, but you go and work in a supermarket, or you go and do something else. Like, I think that's really important, is understanding the life that you want to create. And the reason why I say that, and I emphasize that a lot too, is I don't have the desire to be someone like Elon Musk or these huge business owners, like someone like Alex Hormozy, right, that you see in the space. Like, I don't have that hunger and drive to want to create a $5 million a year business, right? I'm more in the bracket of creating more of a lifestyle business where, like, getting to 20, 30, 40 grand a month, and which is ridiculous, by the way. And, you know, that being fine for me. Like, I understand that's what I want to build. Whereas a lot of people see it on social media and they don't understand what you need to do in order to get to that. Like, I enjoy my work. I enjoy the hours of sitting here, figuring things out, putting out fires all the time, and basically just playing chess. Like, I do think it's really important to understand what it is that you're trying to build and know what that actually takes.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed is that obviously you try different things, right?
Mhm.
You tried, stopped, try, stopped, and stopped in a positive sense, because that you stopped something that wasn't serving you to start something that was more aligned with what you wanted to do. Then, for example, now that I would say things are flowing in the right direction for you. Like you
Yeah.
were doing something that you were enjoying, but then the market opportunity came, and so you pivoted into doing something like different, but again, maybe more aligned with what you wanted to do. But now is the question, how, because you mentioned inner work earlier,
Mm. Yeah.
and understanding what is it that you want. Like, you just explained that you want to create a lifestyle business and not necessarily like a huge business. Like, all these things showed me, and you mentioned inner work, so show me that there is some intentional work behind all this. So, again, some of it is from try and error. Perfect.
Mm.
Like cutting out stuff that that didn't work, or that you didn't enjoy. But how did you come up with the intention and these very conscious choices that you're making, and the inner
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. I think just naturally from, like, I guess, just growing up and wanting to learn more about myself starting from. So a bit more backstory. Like, when I was 9 months old, my dad died of skin cancer. So, like, I've never grown up with my biological father, right? So for me, I've never had a father figure in my life. So one of the things that I've struggled with is understanding, like, what is a man, right? What's a man supposed to be in the world? I had a stepdad from the age of like 3 till I was like 15, but he wasn't the nicest person. I kind of grew up feeling like I was walking on eggshells. I was scared of him, didn't see him treat my mum very nicely. So I didn't really see a strong father figure in the house. So for a long time with myself, I was like, well, how do I be a man, right? Whatever that's supposed to be, right? But like someone who's a leader, someone who can support his family. That took me a long time to realize, which is why I've gone from doing different jobs or trying different things. Because for me, I looked at it as just developing different skills and figuring out what I wanted to do in my life. So I guess with how I came to terms with everything, with what I'm doing now to answer your question, was just like understanding what is the life I want for myself. Like you mentioned, like I said, with the lifestyle business, is I thought I wanted to try and build a business like Alex Hormozi because that's what I see on social media. But it's being okay to admit to myself that that isn't what I want. Like I want to be able to spend quality time with my family and my friends, to spend great time with my girlfriend, and eventually build a life with my kids. And look, I can still do that and make 100 grand a year. And I may say that in a year's time when I've learned more skills and I feel more confident within myself. But where I'm at right now, yeah, I look at wanting to hit those 20, 30, 40 grand months, and then I'll reassess there and move forward. But it just came naturally to me, which was just a kind of evolution of, oh, well, I learned this skill and I've been able to sell better on the phone. Great. How can I get better? Great. I learned this around my content marketing. How can I get better? And it's just like, once you learn something, you kind of get comfortable, it becomes the norm. Like once it was this thing where you were like, I don't know how to get there. What do I need to do? You learn, you get that skill, you implement it, you do it every single day, it becomes second nature, you can do it with your eyes closed, and you're like, awesome. Now what's the next thing? Because I now look at this, and that scares the hell out of me. What do I need to do? So in order to get to where I am today, and this is the thing, like I said to you before we started talking, was like, I don't want to be looked at as some guy that's this guru and whatever. I'm still in the early stages of building my consulting agency, right? We've helped 2 clients get really good results right now. And for me, and I've spoken to a lot of fitness coaches in the space and people that have been burnt by other people that have helped them grow their business. And for me, it keeps me up at night knowing someone pays me good money and they didn't have a good experience. I had this before where someone joined our content agency. They paid, like £1,600, and then within 7 days they asked for a refund. For about a month after that, I questioned myself and was like, what did I do wrong? I couldn't sleep properly. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, damn, that person's going to talk to other coaches. They're going to say they had a really bad experience. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to get a call with someone now. And I'm like, are they going to be someone that is friends with this person? I'm like, all right, I need to make sure I create something good. I don't have to give me like analysis through paralysis where like I eventually don't create anything at all. But I realized, look, and I heard this from Alex Hormozi too. I'd rather it take me 2 years to build something that's really good that then sells itself. Because my clients love it so much, they get amazing results, they tell their friends, and their friends want to work with us. Then build something in 2 weeks, not pay any attention to it at all. People hate it, have a bad experience, and we just have this huge churn and ruining my reputation and my name. Also, don't get that twisted with the fact of, like bring people onto your program, build the initial foundation so people can get results and they can actually start and like get some quick wins. Then just build around that when your audience tell you what they want and what they need to actually grow as well, along with the skills that you have. So I'm in the process of doing that and just kind of doing the foundations right now. And then next year, I look to scale it and do well. But what's also really exciting is I had an opportunity where I've been working with my mentor for a year. And he said, look, mate, like I know you're building your business and I understand that. I have a position in my business where we need a client success manager. You'll actually be working with me very closely, right? With going through the systems we're building. And he's currently at $1 million a year. And he wants to get to the 5 million a year next year. And I'm sitting there going, well, I want to build my business. I'm sitting there going, if Alex Hormozi had reached out saying, hey, mate, like I need someone in my business, like you're going to learn from me. I'd be like, would I be stupid if I said no? And so I'm also in a transition point too, where I'm going to be a client success manager for my mentor, where he's charging £6,000 or $6,000 plus for his program with all of his marketing skills. I'm going, well, I'm already learning from him. Like, hey, let me dive into this, do this maybe a year or so, and learn everything that I need to. So that's another next stage of my evolution as well, of learning business, whilst I still grow my stuff on the side. So again, I don't want to transition too much off question because I want to bring it full circle again and come back round. But I had to learn a lot about myself of why I'm the way I am. Why do I struggle with certain things? A lot of it stemmed from my childhood with family, with being bullied at school, and then realizing what do I actually want in my life? What do I enjoy doing? And I feel I'm lucky, and I use the word lucky because not everyone knows what they want to do. I always knew fitness was something that I liked, and I really loved marketing. And it wasn't until maybe halfway through of building the content agency where I was like, ah, I really want to be a good marketer. I really want to get good at business because I look at people like, how have I forgotten his name already? And this is really embarrassing because he's one of the best marketers. Uh,
Tai
Seth Godin.
Lopez? No, I said good. Okay.
Seth Godin. If you watch this, Seth, I apologize. I forgot your name just then. But yeah, I would read so many of his books, and I love how he articulated things and the results that he got. So yeah, I was like, I just want to learn this. And at the start, like I mentioned to you before, I didn't want to put the pressure on myself because I had to show to society, hey, I can stand on my own 2 feet here and not have a full-time job, and I'm just building my agency. But in the back, everything's shit. Everyone hates my service, and no one's actually speaking good about it. Like you know, I ate my ego, if you want to call it that. I worked full time in certain jobs, and I built up as time went on. So I think a lot of it was, again, learning from while I was doing things from my childhood, not giving into my ego to try and show people that I'm this person when I'm actually not, to pretend I'm living this lifestyle that I'm actually not, just for them to look at me like someone that I'm actually not. I never wanted to do that. And something I preach on my social medias that you've seen is I just be your authentic self. At the end of the day, we're in a service based business. People buy from people. And if you're your genuine self, people are going to invest in that. And I think that's the best way to go. So I hope that answers the question. But it was just learning from a lot of things from my childhood and understanding who do I want to be in this world, right? Like when I die, like what would I have loved to have done? Like money's one thing, great, cool. But at the end of the day, when I die, I'm not going to think about how much money I made in my bank account. I'm going to think about the impact that I made. Was I a good husband? Was I a good brother? Was I a good best friend? Was I a good son? Like those are the things that matter the most to me. Money helps, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's really important to me.
I love that you're saying that, and I'm grateful that you had this. Well, that you asked yourself these questions, right? Because
You're going to ask the difficult questions. A lot of people don't, right? Like the
that's
reason why
right.
people never grow or they never develop is because they don't ask themselves the deep rooted questions, which is why do I do the same things that I'm doing? Why am I always smoking? Why am I taking drugs? Why am I always drinking? Why am I giving into these vices? It's because you're escaping from something that you haven't dealt with. And I did that a lot. I'd go out multiple times a weekend, drink because I wanted to escape a reality that I hated in my life at the time, or I didn't have confidence in myself. I'd go out drinking and speak to, I could only go out and speak to women by drinking, right? Because I didn't have the confidence in myself. So I didn't want to do that. So yeah, it's just things like that. I think just helped me a lot.
Love it, love it. It's the way to go.
So
It's
what's the thing
the
that
comfort.
oh, sorry, mate.
No, I mean, it's the, as you mentioned earlier, it's about asking the difficult question and go through that discomfort where actually growth is going to happen. And, everyone listening can hear the maturity, that transpires from you because you ask yourself those questions. And
And
yeah,
it
I'm so
sounds
grateful
weird,
that
right?
you.
Because and I appreciate, man. Like I said, we've been speaking a while, so any questions you have, like, I'm more than happy to answer them. But yeah, it feels weird for me saying this, right? Because it's like I've had therapy, I've spoken to people, which I know people have, especially as men, right? We don't talk about that because we think we've got to be these tough guys. I think the only way that you can really provide for your family and show up the best version of yourself in the world, whether that be for clients, employees that you have, your partner, even your family, is by putting yourself first and by speaking to people, right? Like it's okay to struggle with certain things. It's okay to, like people go through trauma, right? Everyone's is different. Like we don't need to compare. Everyone goes through trauma, different scales, and that impacts you in different ways, and it will show up in different areas of your life. And if you don't speak about it, you suppress it. And like anything, right? Like it might show up in diseases. It may show up with because causing stress, things like that. But also in the relationships where you don't have good relationships. You're like you see some people might be violent with a partner, or they just block out friends, or whatever it may be, right? I do think that's really important. But you also, just to ask you a quick question, you mentioned something before where you were talking about pivoting. I think it maybe was something that you were thinking about. If you don't mind me asking, what was that thing that you were potentially thinking of doing?
Yeah. So thank you for asking the question.
That's right.
It's been a while. I would say more than a year ago, and actually, I made an episode which touched upon this. Just I released it. Well, depends when this is gonna get uploaded, but a few weeks ago. And yeah, I feel like the fitness, it's a little bit tight at the time for me. Like in terms of like, I would say my identity, but also what I wanna help people with. It's more than just fitness, especially because and someone commented something on I posted on Threads, and someone made a comment that made me like question this. But again, that's how I feel, so I'm just gonna share it because for me, like fitness is very simple,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't mean that you cannot make it complicated. And I love making it complicated. I love trying different training programs. You know, because
100%.
but even then, sometimes the older I get, the more experience I get, the simpler I like to make things. Like, back in the days, I used to love doing superset and giant sets and rest pose and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But now I'm just doing like straight set, it's like 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, like, increasing the weight over time. Boom, that's it. Like, it's very simple. So working with people for almost 10 years now, I
Mm.
realized that not everyone, but lots of people, especially the one that struggles the most, well, the problem is not
Mm.
fitness. The problem is something deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even the stuff that you were just talking about, right? Like understanding those things. And especially because in the past, maybe 2-3 years, I went through and still going through like, my own like personal discovery and development. And that's where
It's a lifelong thing, isn't it? Yeah.
it is 100%. And then I feel that that's what I want to help people with. And
Mm-hmm.
and actually the idea is crystallizing more and more and more. Um,
That's just to touch on that. Sorry, mate.
yeah, go for it.
That's what happened with my journey too. You're. It seems like you're still in the process of figuring this out and not quite sure what it is. Go with that. Like just from advice of myself, don't put pressure on yourself to be like this has to be done by like this time or whatever it's going to be. Just keep asking yourself the questions. Like what do I enjoy? Or what would I like this to be? Who do I look at in this space that maybe is kind of doing what I'm doing? And then look at how maybe they're defining it. Like I do this and I help these people with X, Y, and Z. Like, by the sounds of things, like I don't know if you listen to these podcasts, but like I think it's like Modern Wisdom with Chris Williams, yeah. Or you've got like Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu. You've got uh, The School of Greatness by like Lewis Howes, I think, or like that, where it's not just for you. Again, you've got your fitness side of things, which helps, but then you've also got the side of mindset with the habits, and it still factors in with fitness, but more on a deeper surface level of tackling trauma that you've gone through in your life, how to deal with that, how to set your life up and find more of your purpose, right? Because you may find that with fitness coaches, sorry, you being a fitness coach and helping people, like yes, you're helping them on the fitness journey, but maybe they're also struggling with areas in their life with work or relationships. And I guess people might look at that as like life coaching as such, but I know some people what the terms they may have around that. But yeah, going down that road too, and I wouldn't necessarily know what to define that as either, just like on the cuff. But I would probably ask yourself those questions as well. Like you mentioned earlier too, like you listen to a load of podcasts. Like, what are the ones that you listen to? Again, like, yeah, how are they going about
Well,
talking about
the
money?
one that you mentioned, they actually the main ones I've been listening to since a long time.
I was gonna say they're the ones that I listen to
Yeah,
as well, and they're great.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But
So,
and the thing that was so basically the issue that I've been having is that obviously you know my fitness business is my livelihood, so
mm,
it's hard to let it go
mhm,
and do something different. And that's why it's interesting when you mention going to constructions, because
mhm,
I've tried. So in the past year, I tried twice to. Well, I did. I was working for other coaches as a sales
mhm.
representative, um, because that was my plan. Like, okay, I'm gonna find something else that can make me, like make me money to pay the bills. In the meantime, while I figure out what I want to do,
100%.
but also there's a point where, and I'm there, and this podcast is the start of it, where
Yeah,
yeah, I'm realizing what is it that I want to do. So it's just about biting the bullet and do it.
yeah. And I've said this to people too. Like, you got to be realistic. Like, I still had to pay bills. I still had to do my stuff that I was doing. So like, I slowly stopped with the fitness coaching stuff as I was doing the construction, um, and then kind of just built that up. And then had to do a similar thing when I went to Mexico. I came back and I was like, damn, like I got to do something, build everything up. Um, did a few other things like part-time jobs to build things up as well. So I think it's just asking yourself the question, right? Like, if you can get another job that pays the bills, and then maybe in the mornings and in the evenings you build up what you want to do, then fine. Or if you feel that you can do it alongside with the fitness coaching stuff, then also do that. But like, that's not something that um, I can tell you to do, nor should I, or somebody else, right? This is something and your journey to figure out if that's what you want to do. Like, and you don't need permission from anyone to go and do that. I thought that I did. I was like, you know what? No. Like, people might think bad of me, right? Like, you might have friends that just go, oh, hey, just let you know, I've just shut down my fitness coaching business. I'm currently doing I'm a sales rep again, right? And commission, whatever. And people might think, what the hell are you doing? It's like, you just built something. Like, this is great. It's like, but I don't want to. I don't want to. Like, I really want to do this, and I believe in myself. It may take you a year, 2 years. Like, listening to Chris Williams when he's talking about like building modern wisdom, I believe it is. Like, this is his third year in a podcast, I think. Over the last like 3 months, he's gained. I think I've read it. I might be butchering it slightly, so apologies. But like, I think in the last 3 to 6 months, he's gained more subscribers than he did within the last like 2.5 years or something, because everything just compounds. So it's like, already from being a fitness coach, like, it will take time, but at the end of the day, like, you have so many more years ahead of you. Like, wouldn't you want to be building something that you love? So I don't know, maybe you were looking, I wouldn't say necessarily it's the word, but looking for permission. But like, I also went through it, and I'm still building my stuff, and you know going for, like, I'm not saying like I'm not someone who's currently doing 30, 40, 50 grand a month, right? Like, you see all these people, like, I'm still in the process of growing myself. And I think it's a really important thing to understand. So yeah, take your time on it, mate. That's what I would say. Like, you don't need to put pressure on yourself to have it all figured out, but just, you know, keep helping people like you're doing. Maybe add in a few extra things to test it out and take it from there. And I think that will make you a lot happier.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. And I want to close with one more question that
Of
I
course, mate.
try to ask every guest. So, what's one thing that comes easy or simple, that is simple for you, but you've noticed that for other people it's not?
So I've always known this, and something that's very easy for me is I'm very, very creative. So whether that's creating video scripts, that's coming up with a concept of a video, what the start needs to look like, the video, the middle, the end, creating a story, anything creative, art, drawing, anything like that. I can do it in my sleep. I can do it with my eyes closed. Doesn't feel like work to me, and it's not hard at all. But when you're talking about maybe adding numbers up and taking exams and things like that, I hate it. I'm not good at that. For me, anything that revolves me being creative, design, I find very easy.
And when did you discover that?
Like 5, 6 years old, because the early memories I had was my dad's mum and dad, so my nan and my granddad. Every Christmas, I just used to ask for art sets. So it'd be drawing pads, pencils, um, watercolors, and I would just draw. Couldn't say it was like amazing, whatever. Or like early memories I have too was like I remember going to like the zoo and I would just have like a notepad and I was just drawing all the animals. And then obviously at secondary school I took art. I think I got like a B in like GCSEs. I took like product design as well. And then just from there, in the evenings, I would draw, or again, I was filming YouTube videos because I just loved being creative. It was like something I did when I wasn't making money from it. I filmed videos because it was just a natural expression of myself. I saw someone else do it. I was watching Christian Guzman, Max Tuning, Steve Cook in the early days, and I'm just like, I feel like I could do that. Why don't I do that? And I just started documenting everything, which goes back to again quickly being picked on at school because I made Instagram videos and people made fun of that. People would used to just touch on that too, like I remember when I was at school, like my first year of college, I used to get sent pictures by the girls that used to be in my year or people that were in relationships lying in bed watching my YouTube videos. And at the time, I didn't know if that was because they enjoyed them or if they were just joking and taking the mick. Or I had people that would literally text me saying, "Hey, my friend watches your YouTube videos. Can you sing happy birthday to them?" And like again, it's strange, but from the early years, like I just loved creating. I still do now. Like I'll draw random stuff. So yeah, probably from the ages of like 5 to 6. Like I'm not like I can't draw realism, right? Like I can't have like a picture of yourself and I can draw that perfectly. But just creating stuff is a strength of mine for sure.
Nice, love it, and it reflects into what you do. And the thing that comes up for me when you say that is what comes easy. It's something that you enjoy and you love doing, and I think that
And
that's very important.
I had to follow that because, like I said, with business, right? Great. I know there's a lot of money in solar, and I know there's a lot of money in you know all these technologies and softwares and whatever. That I don't want to go and build a solar business for the sake of money. Like I want to build something that I enjoy, and that's me personally. Like everyone's different, but yeah, passion driven. I have to do things I love.
Amazing, amazing. Scott, thank you very much. It was a very great conversation, and yeah, I love your story, and I'm very grateful that for everything you went through, for the questions that you ask yourself, and yeah, I can see your business is very good success already. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it, and I will leave all the links and everything in the description. But yeah, let's close up with yeah, pitch, pitch anyone, pitch anyone
Ah,
listening to this into what you do.
no, I appreciate it, mate. So I'm not gonna necessarily pitch. If you liked what I've heard today, and you're a personal trainer, you're a fitness coach, you can just follow me at Scott Norgate with 2 R's on Instagram. And if you're listening to this, subscribe wherever Matteo is posting this, YouTube, Spotify, wherever it's going to be. Listen to it. This was a great conversation. This is my first one. The questions that you ask are great, and you're only going to get better at the skill. And from listening to what you've said today is something that you really want to do and continue with. So yeah, I just also ask people support Matteo if you've liked what he's been doing. Support him, and yeah, just listen to his podcasts. Yeah,
Thank you.
just
And if you're a personal trainer and you want to move online and making your first 5K, go and contact Scott.
I appreciate it, mate. Yeah, you do great work, mate, and it's been great to connect with you. So appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure. I'll speak to you soon.
Perfect.
Awesome.